I often have a lot to say about the issues of counter trafficking and trafficking, sexual violence. My name is Brooke, Dr. Brooke Bell, author of Shame Undone and founder of two companies, More to Living by More to Life. We just changed our name, MORETOLIVE.org or LIVING.org, and a tech startup. And I think the reason that this is so incredibly important to me is to share the work we do, but more importantly, having been someone who I had to sign an NDA, so I can't talk about it too much, but a consultant on the Epstein case, it's important that we kind of have a talk. I think is really important. And I decided just to wear my sweatshirt and not put a suit on or suit jacket or wear a dress. I want it to be really comfortable. And the Epstein case has this, sort of systemic failures. And some of the issues and the challenges that people aren't understanding. If you have this issue of justiceness that does not take place because of power, because of a lack of transparency, you'll have a case that illustrates a 2-tiered or 3-tiered or 5-tiered aspect of the justice system. And it's difficult with our organization having been around. This is the 22nd year of doing this work. You have, during the pandemic, prosecutions went down by 44%. When it comes to sexual violence and rape, 6% thereabouts ever went to trial. Less than 2% got a conviction. Yet 25% of American girls, American females, are a victim of sexual assault. In these United States of America, country that I love very much, even though not all of us are getting along as much as I'd like us to. But that doesn't kind of take away from the angst of an organization that has recovered over 14,000 victims, and we're teaching them that we have this fair system and that community, our nation, that law enforcement, that judges, that doctors, that people care about victims. Yet we have a declining number of prosecutions in the way we'd like to see them. We have an uptick in the types of violence. And even though, as a survivor, champion myself, you have this thing where you always knew and saw children and fought against that. But we have cases and rescues of children as young as 8 months. And the youngest case I know is 4 months. And so if that's taking place, how are we going to effectively prosecute and reduce human trafficking? At least if we're not transparent about the truth, and if individuals who have committed crimes aren't brought to justice, then we abdicate integrity as a whole, and we end up protecting predators at the expense of vulnerable children, with a percentage, depending on the data analytical chart that you look at, could be 20 to 30% boys at a high rate. And so how do we move beyond these incredible mistakes? Because I saw a man on a podcast, news, correct someone by saying, and we need to get into this, what is a pedophile? Get into this whole aspect of Oh, wasn't a pedophile. Wasn't a pedophile because a pedophile had to be prepubescent. Um, Prepubescent. So depending on, you know, what sort of statement you look at, maybe not more than 11. And that's not necessarily true when it comes to pedophilia. We're going to talk about that. But what I do know, and we're going to get to it, is that if we're behaving in this way, and if it were your daughter, your son, my daughter, would we want them to tell? Because the lack of transparency and the not telling is allowing this high level of exploitation of crime to thrive like never before. And so kids are, over 90% of boys don't tell. Girls don't tell. And so when we understand pedophilic indicators, okay, it's ages 13 or under. Ages 13 or under, root cause analysis right there. 13 or under, not 10, not 9, 13 or under. And you know how many 13-year-old girls are trafficked today? The average entry nationally was 12, but it's lower because familial sex trafficking, familial abuse starts with those we've rescued between 3 and 6 years old. But you know how many 16-year-old girls look 13? Do you know how many 15-year-old girls look 12? So if that's the case, let's not kind of like focus on this emphasization of what you think pedophilia is, because pedophilic indicators is ages 13 or under, which is why you have to be 13, just to do certain things related to YouTube and technology. And so exploitation is camouflaged in a highly sexualized society. This is something that I've stated for a really long time. And the hypersexualization of it has created this propensity and challenge for us to just not see victims. Now, listen, I don't care if you see a grown woman, and truly grown is not necessarily 18, because I think of an 18-year girl as still a baby girl. I see a 20, 21-year-old girl as still a baby girl. Because I remember being 21 and completely jacked up after I was rescued and all of that, and still having challenges. I felt like I was 13 inside. The impact of trauma, I felt 10, I felt 14, depending on what aspect of challenge I was dealing with. So the legacy of fatherhood is so extraordinary. And so when you have men who are meant to be new guards, who are meant to protect, who are meant to be the guardrails, saying, oh, wait a minute, that's not pedophilia. She was 13 or over. Pedophilic indicators, 13 or under. And 15 and 16-year-old girls look 12 and 13. And to the frontal lobes, it's as they are. It's as if they are. And so all of these things ignite appetites and of violence. And so we have to kind of call a spade a spade. And so men, fathers, uncles, brothers, leaders. We have a new program in Kingdom Sons Legacy of Fatherhood called A Legacy Worth Following. And my quote is this: a legacy is not what you leave behind. It's what you, let me repeat that. It's not what you leave behind. It's what you leave in someone. And so prevention, men of honor, this whole aspect is missing right now. And I'm just so, I mean, we can spin our wheels for years and years and years, and I'm not a feminist. I happen to be a follower of Christ, and I'm an equalist. I believe in the power of God through his creation to give men this extraordinary gift that some have lost, that they even have the power, that they possess it. And it's this linear beauty that men and women carry together as we're arm in arm. Yeah. And so these are the types of things that I think about, and I'm so upset having met so many Epstein survivors and understand the plight and the pain and how young some of them were, and how young some of them were before they met him, that had already been priorly violated, molested, or raped prior, which caused this kind of propensity for them to be manipulated at that time and to be hurt in a whole nother way, from the frying pan to the fire. Look, nobody should get a pass. If you have hurt a girl, you have hurt a boy, you've got to pay the price. And if we're not willing to do that, we will never end rape or end human trafficking. We won't. We won't do it. It's not going to happen. And so my hope is that we understand the mental health proclivities and challenges that, listen, less than half of 1% of human trafficking victims globally are ever identified. And so, men, father figures, I don't care if you have a natural child, you are a father figure, because there's something in men that has this ability to calm, to protect, to guard. Just like there's something in women to have this certain type of love and nurturing and sweetness. Not to say that men don't have that. But when we look at the Jeffrey Epstein case, we just aren't looking at the actions of one man in this case. When we think about all of this, we're looking at a system that is void of true integrity. And it's a reminder that when we allow power to prescribe humanity, that those that are vulnerable right now, those that are young people that are hurting and being bullied and growing up in single parent homes sometimes, who are feeling lost and maybe at the poverty line or below. Maybe they're feeling forgotten. Maybe they are forgotten, without a voice. Maybe they're in foster care, where anywhere from 67% of victims have been in foster care. These aren't systemic failures or mistakes alone. We have to look in the mirror at who we are and what we allow, and start calling them what they are, intrinsically, and in a way that is relegated by transparency and honesty. And that is a refusal to protect the vulnerable, a refusal to protect the innocent. And this is a crisis. This is a massive crisis. If I ever have to hear another time and crawl under a table when I hear a man, a newscaster, male or female, say, those women, those young women, those teen women, there's no such thing as a teen woman. They're minors. And at More to Life, we're seeing a new age of entry, a new age of a deeper violence is becoming more and more darker and darker and darker. And so this 9 years old, 9. But what if she was 16 and she looked 13, but it started when she was 6? Who is she psychologically? You see, a father figure is someone who he knows who he is as a man. He knows that he wants to leave a legacy worth following. He knows that someone is looking at him and observing him to figure out how to be, how to become, how to live. Does he have integrity? Is he transparent? Someone who I love very much, an organization that donated 2 hours. Pastor Robert Morris said, when I was a young man, I had an affair with a young woman. It was a moral failure. And he said that for 20 years, 25 years. But in actuality, he was 22 to 26, and she was 12 years old to 16. She was not a young woman. She was a child, and then a teen, a minor. And he was a man. And I believe that the power of God can heal us from anything, and through therapeutic processes and the love of God and the love of Jesus, because I am a believer and I have friends from all walks of life. I have Jewish friends coming from some Jewish lineage in my own family. I love people. And I love what Jesus said, man looks at an outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. And so, men, if someone is looking at your heart, the integrity and the content of your heart in total privacy, what are you saying about this issue, about life, about thoughts and desires? Because integrity that appears to be that in front of people doesn't matter. When we talk about pedophilia, we're talking about a profound mental health crises, but we're also talking about a spiritual crisis. It's not just clinical. When we think about those that are under 13 and the prepubescent years, and we talked about that already, but we also have to talk about this high propensity of a nation we're creating because we're seeing younger kids violate younger kids. And we're seeing families trafficked and violate their own. Our organization operates on $1 million a year. So full-time staff, 5 sting ops, 2 we led last year, rescuing 122 kids, 160. You can search More to Life, More to Living, Operation Dragon Eye, Operation Home for the Holidays, and the work we're doing in mental health support, mentoring, and housing. We need your help because the fight is real right now as relates to prevention. And our Got Life campaign that is going to so affect the lives of so many young men and men, reminding them of the power and the beauty of what it means to be a man of honor and to leave a legacy worth following. And so we hope that you lean in, because the path to prevention doesn't just happen. It's not going to just, we've been doing this work a long time and others longer than us. It's not going to happen just by locking people up. This cycle of victim services and prosecutions and victim services and prosecution, it's going to happen by clamping down on this kind of root cause culture that creates the demand. And we need to take the man, M-A-N, out of the demand for children and teens. And we're seeing it. And men have to work. They have to work with boys. I talked to my friend who's from the NFL, and I said, long are the days when men should just mentor men. It has to be the economic theory that came out of Princeton years ago. It's the 80-20 economics theory. And 80% of men need to mentor men, but they need to have 20% of a female voice with men so that men can hear from a young girl or a teen or woman. Do you know what it would be like to have a great dad? Do you know what it was like because I didn't? Do you know what it means to have an incredible man of honor in my life? Do you know what that would actually mean? How my life would have been changed and saved? We need that voice. And then the 80% of the rest of the time, men can go, oh my gosh, wow, yeah, wow. Okay. The legacy of fatherhood. We see the lights come on. We see men realizing that their own unhealed childhoods and the trauma that affects nearly 30% of those that we work with never told a soul. So this is another root cause, and it connects to that lack of transparency, that lack of honesty. And so we need for men to be men of honor, and then we need those men of honor to step in and step up. Our Got Left campaign centers around this one idea. Is it got life? Because human trafficking destroys it. And we need men of honor to step up, because every survivor I have ever met was looking for the protector that they never had. And so I just needed to share, because I was holding in so much. And yeah, let's get it done. Please go and donate today